And I think we've definitely stepped up our game going into season 7.
We had a lot of fun doing it, and the fact that it worked was like really, really shocking.
There's never a dull moment here. Every day is a new adventure. I'm always incredibly impressed with what they do and what they come up with.
I was very pleased with the direction we took with the story. I think it really paid off, or we wouldn't be here today.
Thanks for telling me.
Thank you for listening.
Anytime.
Basically, there was a lot of mystery as to where we were going as a show by the time that we ended season 6.
A lot of unprecedented creativity went into the end of season 6. Before then, we had a very different method, which was no method.
Basically, on the system, we run by the code or the ethos. Shit happens and we roll with it.
It's crazy. I mean, we used to do just one solid set, and now I feel like every week I come here and it's something totally different. It's pretty unique.
From what I've seen, it's a lot more consistent. Like, we're not filming 5 episodes in one day. We're filming, like, maybe 2 or 3, maybe?
The thing with the system is it's always been kind of like, well, here's what we want to do today. But these people didn't show up. These people showed up. This random person we just met showed up. We're going to give you a major part. And we're going to completely make a fuck out of this. But it's going to work. It's going to be fun on the day. It's going to look good when it's done in editing. Everything's going to be perfect at the end. But it was no organization.
Oh, that's not very professional.
Dang it! I didn't know that I was still being filmed.
I wanted to always stay in character.
You could throw these guys any curveball. I think they just might recover.
My older interviews, I say at one point that everything is at the last minute. It is not like that at all now.
Dustin would say, all right, you say this, you say this, you say this. Well, what do I say? I forget. Just make something up. Like, I literally remember conversations where that would happen. And now we have multiple scripts and full scripts, and we have just come so far. Like, I can't believe this shit. I'll be honest, I said it before. I didn't think the show was going to go anywhere when it first started.
We're growing as we film. The sets are changing, you know, everything's changing so quickly. The characters are changing.
There was the second time that we thought we were going to end the show and then we didn't, because we had a new idea.
I was like, okay, this is kind of fun, we're having fun, but we're going to go back to Under One Roof in a month, which was the show we were doing before that. I thought that's the direction we were going to go in, but then we just started getting a little better, a little better, a little better.
We're evolving in a way, because we had very basic characters to start off with. You know, they didn't have much personality, and now they all have their own background, their own personality.
At that point, there wasn't an overarching plot. We just didn't have ideas.
He kind of like said it. He's like, well, what if Monica was responsible for everything fucked up that ever happened? What?
So Darcy came up to me and she wanted to know, you know, what's the story behind her character, and I really didn't have one yet. So we talked about the kind of connection that she had, and that she like had herself forced to be hired there. And then, I can't remember what exactly we talked about after that, but it was some kind of inconsistency in the system, which there's a lot of them, that were like, why did that happen? And then as a joke, I was like, oh, well, maybe you just, you know, called in a favor and had it changed.
It did kind of start around a joke. You know, it was just kind of like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I just orchestrated like this whole entire show?
And then she came with another one, and then another one, and another one. And then we really started joking about how many weird plot holes there were in the system. Like, what if she was connected to some kind of really big government agency that could like counteract this?
Because we did keep talking about it, like, oh, she could have done this. She could have filled this plot hole. What about this plot hole? That's solved. And so I was like, okay, but that's absurd. But apparently absurd is popular.
He's like, well, think about this moment. And I thought about it. And like, well, what if it was because of this? That's crazy. I used to get fucking freaked out thinking about it.
My first response to that was utter shock that they would even consider bringing that storyline in. But then as I went back and I examined all the other storylines, I went back going, oh, well, that kind of fits, and it could work that way. And then the pieces start to come together, and I said, holy hell, this might actually work.
Studio 302 loves the absurd. So that happened.
Dustin was really excited about this new idea for the show. And like everything we kind of think of, I didn't really know how it was going to play in, because, you know, how can we do this kind of thing?
When we started thinking about it and started doing it, and thinking about the boundaries of what we could do and what we wanted to do, it turns out we could do an awful lot.
We figured, how could an entire department of 10 people transfer from one city to another perfectly like that? That doesn't happen ever. And originally that was just a big fat plot hole. but like, what if there was a reason behind it? And we got really excited about this idea of going back and finding how many things happened in the system that we kind of messed up or was a plot hole, and we could remedy that by applying this new storyline to them.
The absurd idea turned into like this awesome, like epic saga like thing.
We were like, okay, well the most significant thing is the transfer of people, which in real life we did that because we were changing shows. But what could be a reason in the story? And if it was those specific people, there had to be a reason. Like they had to have been hand chosen, or else why bother? So okay, we got these 10 people here, which is pretty much the cast of the show. We really need them. And she works for the government, so maybe they want them for an assignment, some kind of special thing. So what could that be? So we were looking at different kinds of terrorists that we could be chasing.
So we were thinking about, what can we, have this big conspiracy be that brought everyone together that isn't ridiculous. And everything that wasn't ridiculous sucked. So we were like, all right, how about zombies?
We didn't want to do anything with bombs because we had a lot of James Wright doing explosions. We were kind of sick of explosions. We wanted to do something different, terrorist-related. We thought about bioterrorism.
We get to be in a zombie plot. And you can't say that doesn't make sense for the system, because if you're saying, but the system has to make sense, you haven't been watching it.
It's amazing. It's amazing when you stop and you look at every little thing while she's responsible. Well, there's fucking scenes where he says Monica pulled some really, really big strings or long strings to do this. And at the time you go, okay, it's probably a plot hole, but then you look back, wait a minute, they planned that. That's nuts. At first you stop and think, because if we were to tell an outside person this, they would go, oh, well, you clearly planned that. But we've lived this. And to now know somewhat why it makes sense. We've taken something that was just a clusterfuck and given it like a spine straightener to fix it, straighten it all out, make it look good. Because if you watch the series and then this season, you're going to understand, oh, they knew what they were doing. No, we didn't fucking know anything.
Our love of organizations led us to us wanting an evil organization to sort of counter the good guy organization that Monica worked for.
And that's how we came up with Chimera.
The Greek monster thing worked pretty well, with multiple heads. We would have gone to Cerberus, but Mass Effect already did it. So we went with Chimera, and we figured, all right, we have a 3-headed beast, so there should be 3 villains.
Sergeant,
Hey.
you alright?
Yeah. All right. Listen.
You're lucky I don't fire your ass. Don't talk, listen.
Captain.
That goes for you as well.
Yes, sir.
You've become a disgrace to the badge. You're lucky I don't have your ass thrown in jail. You used to be a good cop, but now you're just a junkie. And you've run out of chances. You're going down to the local rehab center. I've got you an appointment there. And you know what? You're not coming back till you're done there. I've got a signed document from the psychologist. Go pack your stuff.
Colin Thomas is a dick. We have known that since day one. What we didn't know is he's actually a super dick.
Because everything that Monica was involved in, there had to be some other manipulator going on. And we knew that Thomas, the character Colin Thomas, played by Greg Herring, was the perfect character for them.
When they came to me and they said, well, what if he's going to be part of this conspiracy thing? Okay, it's like, why not? At this point, why the fuck not? Why can't I be part of the conspiracy?
That is another one of those things that we did not plan that just fell right into place.
The idea for Thomas as a bad guy was kind of there from the very beginning. Once we decided that Monica should kind of be the manipulator that brought everyone together and kind of facilitates season 7. The idea that Thomas is the other side of her, the other infiltrator, assassin, the bad guy version, kind of came naturally because he was the most intuitive person to play that part.
He's a jerk. He likes to manipulate people. And he doesn't like being wrong. That's definitely.
Because I worked with Greg for years. For years and years I worked with Greg. And the first time we brought him on the show, we wanted just a random D-bag in the office that's just a jerk. And that's how he got his first part.
Miss Sunshine.
Excuse me?
Commissioner Thompson. Thomas, I mean.
What was that I just heard?
He said it's sunny in Miami.
He just being the office douche. And wouldn't it be interesting if everyone's office douche was actually an international supervillain?
And, we didn't know why we were making him that way. And then, for some reason, the passion that came out of this character, maybe from us playing off one another, I don't know, but he seemed to be really passionate about shutting me down for some reason, and we never knew. There was a reason, I don't remember what it was. It had something to do with someone got murdered or something that we never actually did. And that's why Greg alludes to it in a scene that we filmed 8 years ago.
What that means is I have to interrogate every he, she, and it under your supervision to see if they're still qualified for their jobs.
What are you doing this for? You just come in here just to try and turn the whole world upside and get everybody fired. What's the reason for this?
That, Captain, is none of your concern.
So you're just doing this for no reason? Tell me right now what the hell you're doing this for.
I'm sorry, I have a job to do.
It was logical that he should be the one to be her kind of evil counterpart.
Not being just a dick in the office, being a supervillain. That was fun. I got to try out like my supervillain laugh and all that. But it was more of a choice of where they were taking the show and whatnot. And you know, dicks in the office don't have to die. Supervillains have to die eventually, like when they go off to school and stuff. So that's the thing.
Herring is a great actor. He plays this part where you could see such a high level of professionalism and like espionage to him as it is, that he really plays that really well, and he's the perfect choice. Where honestly, if I didn't already have him, I would have casted him anyway, but we already had him. So it's like, you know what? Great.
Oh, and one more thing. I'd like to think that giving your badge back isn't a horrible idea, so don't prove me right.
Then don't think about it. So I saw Greg at work, and I sat down with him and I was like, what do you think of this? If your character was half responsible for everything that happened in everyone's system, and he's this like evil terrorist, bad guy, espionage, spy, assassin. And Greg was like, okay, I can do that. So that was it.
Let's just do it real quick without violence.
Okay.
Call it, Dustin.
Action.
You know, when we started that plot, I was worried that a lot of people would find it too ridiculous. But he really took to it. I mean, his first scenes as the bad guy, or he was openly the bad guy, were so extraordinary.
I'm 100 times the agent she was, or she'd still be here. Chimera would be nothing without me.
We have hundreds of allies ready to march under the banner of the three-headed beast. Where is our third friend?
He and his men are ready. But we're sitting here waiting. 20 years later, and we're still waiting on you. You said it would be ready. What's the holdup?
He played a bad guy with so much more depth of character than before, because he didn't have as much to work with before. He wasn't, sort of able to do as much. And when we gave him that, it really just broke out.
Why, Thomas? How did you get involved in this?
And so the character development was pretty much all there. We just added backstory to it, and then boom, you had a character.
It's impossible. You were dead. You were drunk and on drugs. Monica lost everyone. I beat her. I'm better than her.
I'd never seen anything like that come out of him, and it sort of taught me that when you give actors something to work with, when you trust them and give them something more, they can really surprise you and just do great things.
You can keep the job if you want. I really don't care.
What is the word again? Not that I don't love the bell classic. I don't care attitude. But you will be given your sergeant title back at the end of the day. Great.
He did a very good job of just making, because he'd always been the office douche. But now it's like he's got a little bit of swagger, like, I'm part of this big organization. You know it now. Everyone knows it now. Kiss my ass. Fuck you. I don't care what you say. I do all this shit. And especially the office scenes, when the rest of the world still thought he's just the office dick. And he would be sitting, well, it's not there anymore. But he would just be sitting in his office, like, looking out, and there were, like, scenes where you just see him watching, and, like, some of the audience, well, the audience really didn't know, but we knew, and it was just really, really cool to see stuff like that. And he really did a good job of keeping it contained. Like, he didn't know that anything had changed, because it seemed insane, because in his mind, he'd always known this shit. In Colin Thomas's mind, but Herring had to now have this big secret, and still has to keep his cool, which was, I'm sure, difficult.
The Angels might not have your back, but I do. I want to make sure that once we get this place rebuilt, that you're in a uniform where you belong. But look, don't worry about the Angels. I'll take care of them.
My character clearly favored Greg's character because obviously he was trying to help me out and John was just trying to, give me this standard talk.
Personally, I do want to hire you. I really do. We're a little tight when it comes to financials right now. We really can't hire anybody. I'm sorry.
Tony, he's been at the station longer than John. Not more experience in John's character, but just, experience at the station, he had more. So it's kind of interesting to see how they kind of go at it.
You're losing.
I'm far from losing.
How long do you think you can keep this up? You're running out of commodities.
I'm not running out. I've just narrowed it down to the best ones.
We'll see about that.
There was a scene the best fucking scene in the history of this show. And when Thomas walks by her and said, "You're losing," I started flipping out, but I had to be silent about it. I was like, "Oh my god, that's fucking awesome! That's awesome! It's happening! We planned something and it's actually gonna be on camera. Wow, we are legit." I was so happy that day. I was very happy that day. My blood sugar going up. I had to go to the doctor. It was an amazing moment. You're losing. That was great. That was my favorite moment in the history of the show, because that just showed that we can do shit.
It's been a blast. I mean, it's just doesn't. It feels like I've been doing this forever at this point. So, it's been fun.
Allow me to make something very clear, Mr. Thomas. The Chimera Initiative can proceed without you. You are not necessary to this project. In fact, you are being more of a hindrance than a help.
Sir,
You are being given one final chance. One.
Then we knew we wanted someone who was in charge of more of the terrorist group itself, not as much as it's doing his footwork.
And this character was very important to me. When I kind of came up with the idea, I like this type of person, and I really wanted someone just like this. I described it as a person who is a scientist who is very, very into his work, but isn't really so worried about the morality of that work. Someone who is very quiet, who's slow to anger, but who commands a lot of respect and authority. Not a person who will raise his voice, but who gets things done and who's just very passionate about his projects.
At the time that we were doing this, I had been approached by Joe Patino and Joe Lees to do an independent film, and I went to a table read where I met a lot of other actors who I didn't know from another circle of friends who did something similar to us. And one in particular really stood out to me, and that was Mike Franz.
And in my mind, I had this image of this just kind of dramatic looking guy, blonde, definitely blonde, blue-eyed and tall and just very calm, but who could really command a room.
Hi everyone, my name is Mike Franz, and I play Dr. Joseph Erickson.
Joe had showed me some of his work on the movie previous, which I saw Mike's performance as a villain in that show, and I was floored by how great he was, how fantastic, and what a great actor he was. And I just watched him like, you know what? He is just perfect.
I was first approached about portraying Dr. Erickson by Darcy about a year ago now.
I was like so blown away. I'm like, you can't be real. You're in my head. No, he's real.
When I first saw him, I was like, where did you find this guy? Because I had never met him.
Everyone's here today. Greg,
Half the cast.
Monica,
Hi, I'm not filming.
Belle. Mike's right there. Hello.
Oh, is this filming?
This is filming.
Hey, how you doing?
Dustin met him at a table read for an independent film, an unrelated thing. But I've never met this person, and he's just an incredible actor. Like, whoa. Like, we are no longer training people. We are bringing in, people who do this shit for a living.
Time went by, I go to the table read, I see him actually in person, I got to meet him, and I'm like, wow, he's awesome. And then he read his lines, and he was great, and then I was like, I really got to tell them about it.
She said that it was a really good part and that they'd really like to have me, and I was very flattered. So of course I said yes.
But I'm like, all right, well, we're probably not gonna get him. There's no way. There's been enough coincidences. Thank you. We're probably not gonna get him. No, he came in. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. Great.
And she knew the dialogue and she knew the characters so well, and that really helped me too, because I would have so many questions for her, how does Erickson feel now, or why does this happen? And she would explain to me the entire thing, which was really good because it would help me and it would help us. I think it was great.
Alright, this is Mike's coverage.
Mike Franz as an actor. Wow.
I couldn't, he really just owned that part and played exactly that. And I was like, how is this even real? I still don't believe it. I watch it and I'm like, no. Yeah, no, really, that's real. That happened.
Oh, Detective Haggerty, how good to see you. Are you feeling better? I surely hope you aren't still feeling under the weather.
What are you doing here?
And it was really whoa, you step back, this person really brought a presence that I wasn't even there for, and I could feel it.
If my virus is successful, I am death. But if Monica returns to us, I am God.
When he does his God speech, wow, he takes a hold of a part and he changes a room.
And I read the script, and I mean, they had a script.
Or did you miss sensitivity training?
So then there's like connection. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing her anger. So there's like awkward pause. Then you go into it.
It's no trouble, Captain. Detective Haggerty hasn't been feeling well lately. I'm sure it's not her fault.
That was awesome. For me, I've worked on projects where they haven't had scripts, and it's just kind of been, not as structured as this show is. And that's what I love about working with the system, is just the structure, and the dialogue was great too. I started reading it, I was like, this is awesome. I love this guy. He's an evil villain, of course, but I really enjoyed it.
I can't even think of a scene where he just didn't give it 100%.
You're getting Monica's point of view first, so it's like she's seeing that we're all talking. You might want to use that one since the battery's higher. Plug that into charge.
Yeah, how about one?
Doctor, I don't think we should waste any more of your precious time.
Doing the scenes with Greg Harry. That was fun because we had to do multiple takes on that one. In fact, I remember there's a blooper, I think, where he messed up a line and I just kept going with it for some reason.
She said she would be able to handle it. She said to handle it. That's what I said.
She said blah 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 blah, and why was she able to say blah 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 blah?
I don't know, sir. Don't kill me.
Are you aware, Mr. Thomas, that blah 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 is not a part of the Chimera Initiative? Blah 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 is exactly the opposite of the Chimera Initiative. And now you're ruining my office. How dare you? Now I'm actually angry. I'm angry. I'm not supposed to show emotion, but I'm angry. That's part of the fun we had. But yeah, working with Greg was very fun.
Start from Detective Haggerty.
Oh, Detective Haggerty.
Okay, Detective Haggerty.
Why, do you have a problem?
The door just keeps opening.
Oh, yeah.
There's a magnet there.
How good to see you.
Magnets, how
Are
do
you
they work?
feeling any better? I surely hope you are still feeling under the weather.
Playing Erickson, it was a little bit of a stretch for me because I like to consider myself a nice guy.
He's a big basketball fan, and I like that about my friend. The first day that I met him, I was wearing an Atlanta Hawks shirt, and he started talking to me for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God, wow, no one ever talks to me about the weird sports shirts I wear. So that was really cool to have someone that's as passionate about basketball as me.
Erickson's not such a nice guy, but I really like that he's so cool. He doesn't get ruffled, but he knows what he's doing. He is above it all, really. Like, he's been controlling everything, apparently, this entire time. So, to be able to play a character like that was incredible. Just trying to get into the mindset of that. Trying to think about, what does how many levels is he above everybody else? Is he 2, 3, maybe even 4? Has he planned like 10 steps ahead of everybody? Does he have a backup plan in case something goes wrong? Does he have 5 backup plans? Being able to do something like that as an actor was incredible, and it was just so much fun.
I thought it felt great to see.
I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Wyatt. My name is Detective Haggerty, and this is Sergeant Bell.
Miss Haggerty. Sergeant Bell.
A lot of times, I'll have an idea for a character, and then we'll get someone who will just do it completely different, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's way better, I like that. And that's kind of what happened with General Marcellus Wyatt.
What I want to know is how Major Fuck Up over here managed to drag your sorry ass out of the gutter and happen to train you to bring down one of the country's most talented assassins.
Oh, you mean Thomas? Well, what can I say? I guess I was actually just born with it.
Bullshit you were.
The idea for the character is that he was a really gruff, older gentleman who was a war vet, who'd seen a lot, who had done a lot.
We actually had Will Goldsfield cast first for that part, before Jim.
What I want to know is how a colossal fuck-up was able to take you out of the gutter so you could take down one of the top assassins in the country.
Oh, you mean Thomas? Oh, what can I say? I guess I was just born to do that.
Fucking right.
And so we had Will come in for this part, and then we had Joe Bettino who actually was trying out for the part of Ed Roberts, who was a satanic serial killer that we chased during the season. And so they both were in these parts, and then we started doing some of the scenes, some of the readings, and something just wasn't right in the chemistry with how the characters were interacting and everything. So then I was like, you know what? what we should do is we should switch them. And so Joe ended up coming in for the part of General Wyatt, and Will ended up going for the part of Ed Roberts.
I was approached for the part because I had played a part previously where I was just a suspect they brought in for a murder case, and they liked me in it, and originally I was supposed to play like another like one-off character, but then this part opened up, so I just started coming back for this, and it's been real fun playing.
Greg Chance thinks that General Wyatt was casted very, very well. The great Joe Patino, one of our many gold mines that we discovered.
I believe it actually worked out a lot better. I believe both actors were able to competently portray those characters in their opposite shoes just better.
It's the first time I'm reading this, just to let you know. First time.
I remember.
Alright. Now?
Mm-hmm. Go right ahead.
I just had a nice little conversation with Victoria outside.
Fascinating.
How dare you override my orders? Who the hell do you think you are?
Victoria Malatessa is sloppy, and Colleen Thomas was
Colin.
an imbecile. Colin?
Colin.
It looked like Colleen. And Colin Thomas was an imbecile. I made sure that Monica Haggerty is neither, and I believe I can replicate those results with Alex Bell.
I think he's a complete a-hole. He's just like the exact antithesis of Mike's character because they're working together. Mike's like the cool, calm, collected guy, and I'm the guy who just wants to get it done now. I don't care who gets in the way, whatever, I'll shoot, ask questions later. He does not, like, except for like today's, I can't think of like a scene where I just didn't yell.
Was there anything else?
You're fucking nuts, you know that?
Like, it was just like the character yelled a lot and he just like didn't care, he wanted to get it done now, he hated how Erickson was like stalling and letting things play out. My character's like, okay, this needs to get done now, let's do this, no more waiting.
I've gotten information from people before.
And he's the financier and who has the means and the army and everything to carry it out.
He came in dressed sharp, looked great. And he just became this really loud, angry dude. Like, that was just such a jerk. Like, oh my, he's just so obnoxious. It's this terrible person. And like, I didn't think of that, but he kind of thought of it for me, and it was like better.
He didn't stay in character right after his thing. Like, he would literally be like talking, making a SpongeBob joke, and then boom, I'm General Wyatt. Like, action, go. He's the character. And I can't do that.
Oh, hell no! You got more poets on your ass!
I'm gonna beat your ass when we get out of here.
Come when you do that. Alright, that's what we're gonna go up to.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. It's like you're working with all these great people. Some, you know, you've worked before, like I've worked with Dustin before, and then John, but like starting to meet new people and building connections and seeing, you know, different dynamics behind the scenes. It's a lot of fun, and just traveling to the different places, it's fun. Like Wildwood, Red Dwarf here. It's really neat.
You know, you had Erickson, who's this quiet, commanding guy, and then you have Wyatt, who's really loud and thinks he holds power, but he just doesn't.
Working with Mike Franz is awful, and I hate it because he's better than me.
Well, working with you is no better.
Because you're better than me. Nah, I'm just kidding. We have fun.
This chemistry was perfect because it gave you a really good balance between the two. You see, these two characters are very opposite, but they're coming together for one goal.
They're friends, they'd acted together before they worked together, and so it kind of was like perfect.
This guy.
We've known each other since high school, and
worked on countless projects together, and it's just been quite a blast. And something I've actually really enjoyed is working with you as an actor. So I've worked with him as a director before.
This is one of the first times we were really like working as an actor and actors in the same scene, and just this whole season, like working together.
We got things done, and I had a blast. So I'm very thankful to have been able to work with them. I hope we get to do it again.
Oh yeah. Oh, we will.
We're no fan right there, man.
So the kittens were okay.
I can't do that.
That means you shut the fuck up.
You can't do the
Can
kittens?
you like cover your mouth in horror? Like, how do you express horror?
I don't.
When you
I never get horrified. I avoid horror.
How does one express horror?
Have Drake take off his pants. You do.
Jesus! Wait a minute, which one?
You got 2 Gregs.
Both of them.
Both of them.
See, here's my
I'm out of
head.
here. I'm out of here. Go.
Here's
Get
the
that
head.
way. I'm out of here. Move your shit.
I didn't sign up for this shit.
I didn't sign up for this either. You didn't tell me this is gonna happen.
Do I have to actually act, or can I just say what?
You still need to act, but
Yeah, I mean, God forbid you be lazy.
I hate acting.
Okay, we're rolling, so whenever y'all are ready, we'll
look where you
go.
are right now.
Yeah, great place. Tell your employer right here.
All right, ready?
Good thing he's not.
Darcy, you can call it. Really all looking at the
Okay.
line? That's
Okay,
cheating.
Yeah,
you
that's
guys,
really not
everybody,
fair.
everybody, this looks like a family photo. You
Yeah, that's what I was
back
trying to
it
say
a
to
little
him.
bit. There we go.
Photo.
Excellent.
Yeah, I don't need to like up my
Okay.
dick
He's
here.
like right on my